in order to hold this state of being here, in order to facilitate certain beings and what they have intended through their twisted consciousness. But it's for the benefit of all life. It's not a matter of picking and choosing, you know. Every aspect of the creation and all the consciousness that is within it and the individuation is within it initially started off as being the love that they've always been. So the idea is restoration for all. So it's, again, not picking and choosing, but understanding that the many expressions, as an example, that I have had within, and we all had to a certain point differently, but yet we've all had extensive experiences within manifest reality. So we're all responsible for what has taken place. You know, it's not a burden, it's just an understanding, you know, and therefore there's not a picking or choosing or this is the boogeyman and that type of thing. It's embracing things for what it is, for the ability to transmute. And we begin with ourselves, and then we come together in a unified agreement and walk continually within that agreement, practicing, encouraging, being there, making ourselves accessible to one another, you know, with respect. And that begins to grow. And that's really the intention behind with what I had been purposing for a very long time. This is like leading up from about 40 years to this point. So that's what this is about. And it's about practicing it, getting acquainted, answering the questions in order for the intention, your intentions, our intentions to become very clear so that we can be unified. So when we start going into this in a harmonious way, everybody's on the same page so that it's one intention, right? So anybody want to say who's here? And just start introducing yourselves, and because I can't really see, I'm a distance from the monitor, so I can't really read the screen very well. So whoever wants to go ahead and speak up, that's fine. Talk amongst yourselves.
Hi everyone, Orlia is here.
Hello.
Hi, Nava here.
Hiya.
Hi, how's it? Hi guys. See you.
Hello there. Hi, I'm David in England, West Yorkshire. So you're welcome to a bit of that if you want it.
Dave, man.
I'm Daphne. I'm in Virginia in the United States. Hello. Welcome to some new faces.
One new, well, there's half a face. We've noticed see half a face of Olia's friend. So can you move in a bit, shuffle it? That's better. We can see you. No skulking in the corners. There's not room for that.
Hi, yeah, I'm a guest here. I'm very much interested to hear what you guys are talking about and what's that all about. Just observing, and
You're very well.
yeah, thank you.
Jump in it with.
David,
Right.
is there a way that you can turn up your microphone or something? I can't hear you as well as I can hear everybody else. So I just.
Okay, hold on a second. Is that better?
No, I was
Can you
talking to
hear?
David. Everybody else
Okay.
is fine. So I'm
Is
sorry.
it-
Everybody
is
else
it
is
loud
fine. I
enough?
just couldn't hear David as well as everybody else.
Is
Yeah.
it loud enough now? Can you hear me now?
No, it's about the same.
Then I really don't know what to do.
Maybe you could just get closer. Can you get closer to the mic? Yeah, you get closer to the mic, maybe. If that's uncomfortable, that's fine. You don't need
Very
to do
uncomfortable.
it. Okay.
No, I'm fine. I'll just have to shout in a very big room, actually, so it echoes around. So maybe that's part of it.
Well, hi everyone. My name's Evelyn. For you, that it's my first time. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So what time do we got here? I can't really see. What time is it, Daphne, there?
It's 4:07, so it's 7 minutes after we were supposed to start.
Okay. We could wait a little bit longer for those that may show up. So that's up to you, guys, gals, whatever you would like to do. I thought I'd give it a little bit more time for those that would show up. Brian, as an example, Josepha
Very good.
as another, and perhaps Axel. And I seen Christina here earlier, and I do see somebody here that's a guest, another guest, but I don't
think
hear
that's-
anything.
I
They're
think that's
muted and I
Axel.
don't hear anything from them. If you would like to speak up, anybody that's a guest, that just so we know that you're here, that would be nice.
I
You don't
think
have to
that's the
talk,
same
you could just,
picture. Yeah, that's the same picture that Axel had last week. I believe that's Axel.
is it?
But
Yeah, I
he's
thought I
on mute.
recognized that. Okay. Yeah, Daphne, could you be like a moderator in regard to the chat? Because I can't access any of that from where I'm at. It would just be easier, just kind of let everybody know what's going on with that.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there's
Sorry for being a
Axel.
little bit
Hey,
late.
how you doing, bud?
How you guys-
Good to have you
It's
here,
good
man.
to see you guys.
Good to have you here.
Heck
Let's wait a few more minutes and see if Brian and Josefa shows up. And again, like I said, I seen Christine, excuse me, earlier. She commented. I posted something in
How's everybody
in the
doing
chat,
today?
some things that relevant to what we're going to be
It's
discussing.
Brian.
Hey,
It was Brian. All right, Brian.
Oh.
Great.
Hi,
Awesome.
Brian.
Hi. Good to
So
see
I
you
can't
all.
see the chat either. So if there's anything in the chat,
You can't
Randy-
see it?
so, but if anybody else can see it,
Here.
just bring it up so we know it's in there.
Sure, will do.
Click on.
Можно так оставить, нас так видно лучше.
Too small.
I can't find it.
I can't read it. It's too far away. Okay, so
Это location.
well, since we're waiting here a little bit longer, does anybody have anything they would like to discuss? Anything, questions? Anything at all? Doesn't
Yes.
matter.
One brief thing, if possible, and it's directed very much at Brian. Wakey, wakey, Brian. Brian, for the benefit of those people that weren't here last week, I raised something about telepathy, and I actually practiced it with Brian during the week. So I'm just wondering if he got any calls, if anything, at any stage, he got any message through, because I wrote something down here very specifically, only a very short message, but I wonder if he picked anything up.
All I noticed this week is that I've been getting an extreme amount of even more rings in my ears.
Right? Okay.
That's as far as I got. And yeah, that's it. But it was been like, I haven't had this much in a while or ever.
Right. Have you had an earworm singing anything at all? Any song? I'm asking, because that's part of, I'm not trying to prime you, because there's a lot of songs.
No. You know, I can't recollect, David. I can't recollect.
Absolutely. It's fine, because I did practice what I spoke about, And so
Yeah.
I telepathically called you. I called you by name, and
I did it too. I did it.
Right.
I did it. I did it twice.
right, and then I'm actually listening for your voice back, and I'm not sure whether I can hear it or not.
Okay. I did it twice, but
Right.
I don't know if there's some interference or
Right.
how much practicing what has to open. I tried it on
Yeah,
you. I tried it on Daphne, Axel, on
Right.
Olia, and on RK.
Right. Okay.
Everybody.
So I
Well-
did get it. I did, something came through. Now I didn't get like a specific message, but all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, we were going to contact each other. Like, I wonder if I was like sensing that you are reaching out, and it reminded me of our discussion in this group last week when we were talking about it. So that's interesting. I wonder if that's why that was coming up for me. I don't remember which day it was though. Like maybe 3 days ago.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. And it would be probably about 5 o'clock evening my time, but I very much directed it towards Brian for focus of energy, specifically for focus of energy. But anyway, it was worth asking the question. It's just
I have a question on that. When you talk about telepathy, I have a friend who, for example, last year, we were disconnected through communication, but there was this constant thought for me to call him, you know. Now, who is the telepath here? Is it the one sending the message or the one receiving it, or both?
How can you have one without the other?
Okay.
So I mean, I'm sure everybody has thought about somebody and then they phone you. You know, we've all experienced that kind of like synchronicity. And especially when you fall in love with someone and you start thinking about them, you can really focus that energy, really focus it. Then they always phone, always.
I have never experienced that, only with this friend of mine, and I'm like, what is it? And recently too, this week I've been myself. I don't know if it was him thinking, but I asked him and he said no. But I just had him like constantly in my thoughts. Obviously, he's going through some situations, but it was just a curiosity, and it's funny how you are expressing this right now about telepathy. I had that constant question. I'm like, what? How did that work? I didn't get it. If it was him or was it me or both of us, I didn't. But thank you for clarifying that.
Anything else?
I've been trying to be conscientious of going out of body, and what I'm practicing the stuff that you had on the paper, Randy, and I'm also being cognizant where just trying to be conscious when my body falls asleep and my mind. But I'll tell you what, I have had, I know I'm going out of body without me remembering right now. And that's as far as I'm getting right now. So I guess it's just continuing to practice it.
Did you, well, when you downloaded the, obviously you have access to the PDF. Two things. You have any questions about that? And the other would be, did you download the audio Delta Wave file for that? And do you
No.
have any questions about that? Because I haven't had, I know it's effective. I've been hanging out a don't disturb sign, okay? Because there's things that's going on with me. I just have to not do anything other than what I've been doing. But the alpha wave file I'm using, I explained this, so I'll just kind of go over it again. I took a mantra, which is "We are one," but with a non-Anahazi, okay? And when I was still able to sing, I did a harmony with it, but I was tuned to the delta wave. Okay. Delta wave is the wave state that you would be when you're going into, I refer to it as stasis, okay, where the body goes to sleep, okay. Anyhow, so I tuned it to that. It's creating a reassurance of no fear, okay. And so within the practice of it, if you put it on loop, I think it's about 3 minutes long, something like that. But it goes from the singing, then it moves into the wave itself, the pulse wave. And what this allows for, if you put it in a loop, is that you start to go into that sleep state, but then you're woken back up again. And what this is doing is training you to be conscious as the body goes to sleep. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's important. If you do one, don't do one without the other, because the whole idea is outside of the training that you see within the PDF, as far as fear processing and all that, which is completely essential. It all goes together, you know. So, you know, it takes a bit of time. Obviously, there's no rush with it. It's whatever fits you, but I would highly recommend using the Delta Wave file for what I just mentioned. Also, how many here have downloaded the PDF for what we're going to be doing here?
I downloaded it.
Okay. How many of you have gone over it, and are you ready? Just the first section. Okay. Good.
A little bit.
All right. Does that include everybody?
You're talking about the initial thing that the paperwork that you sent out, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Building current.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. So intention through design, right? That file. Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay.
Andy, I have a question.
Sure.
On the mantra that you mentioned, that's the right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The one when I put it on play, I haven't used it for out of the body because I don't think I'm there yet. I have had other experiences, not bad ones, but I think I just needed more information.
Can I stop you there for a second? Because
Mhm.
I was just thinking of this. I've done 2 versions of that. So the one I'm talking about is specifically for out of body. It's training, like I mentioned, it's training you to be conscious as the body goes to sleep. So
Okay.
it's different from what I did probably like 2 years ago, whatever. That's on YouTube. That's this is different. So
It
if
might.
you haven't downloaded the PDF for going out of the body, which is included with it on Patreon, then
Yeah,
that's a different one. Is that the same one you're talking about?
that's the one I'm talking
Okay,
about.
okay. I just
If
want to
I
make sure.
download it, for some reason, once it ends the mantra, it just goes silent, and then I don't hear.
Yeah, you have to have headphones because what's going on during that point is the delta wave.
Okay.
It's the pulse wave, so you need headphones in order to be able to feel that. Yeah.
So I've been using it pretty much as my closure for of all the other songs that I listen from you. I've been doing it as a closure, you know,
Okay.
the I am prayer as well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, just to clarify and just to make it clear, the reason why I did put that together is for training in regard to going out of the body. So it's in context to the rest of the information that's found within the PDF and everything. And specifically that twofold is fear within the fear processing section. That can be incorporated right after that, you know, because one doesn't necessarily need to use any technique at that stage to look to get out of the body, because I provide 2 techniques. They're 2 different from one another, completely different from one another. Any
Okay.
technique will work. It just what connects with you. But I use that as an example. You don't need to do any of that. It's the fear processing and learning how to be conscious as the body goes to sleep is really where the training is at for all that. So when you finally get to the place where you're able to do that, you know what to expect, you know what you're doing, you know. So yeah, that does really need a little bit more clarity, and I try to do that. I don't know, I do so many things. I apologize here for if I sound like I'm rattling on, but I do so many things. Sometimes I forget what I did. I have to ask somebody else. So did I? Because, you know, I'm always here, especially lately, I'm always in the moment. And sometimes I forgot what I'd done like 2 minutes ago. And it's not like I'm losing my ability to remember things. It's just that I'm present. And when that happens, I've seen this with other individuals as well. They're just like, don't ask me what happened 2 minutes ago. There has to be somebody that reminds me what that is. And I never was like that before. I could go back, but I'm so now here most of the time, probably 95% of the time. I'm just, I have to remember what I did. And especially when you get really, at least for me, when I've been kind of preoccupied with a lot of things. So I have a tendency to forget sometimes what I did or how much I did of it or what I exactly said. So I have to go back and relive it in order to remember it. So anyhow, anything else anybody would like to add to this before we proceed?
I just was thinking I need to figure out how to put it on repeat so that I can, you know, pause. I'm not quite there yet to do that one. I'm still working on the one
Yeah,
we're
that,
doing today, but
or can I ask the question? And I guess this would be essential to ask. What type of system are you listening to it on? Is it through a phone? Is it through the phone?
so far it's been through the phone, yeah.
Okay, okay, that's an important thing that I would like to add. I mentioned this within the PDF. When you eventually start doing this, you want to disconnect all devices. That is like, you're gonna have a lot of interference having any device on, any electrical device, especially a phone, because the microwaves that are being emitted from that thing. That's a dangerous device. You know, I'm not trying to be spooky, but it really is. And a lot of infiltration comes through that device as well. It's a surveillance device, yada, yada, nothing that you don't know. I'm just saying you need to be aware when you're using, if you have other ways to be able to facilitate through other stuff, like some type of sound system, something analog even that you could use or whatever, that's converting over to digital, you know, that you can download it to. Even the computer's better than the phone, that's for sure. But
pull out an old
you know,
tape recorder from like
yeah, whatever. I mean, if I don't know if that would work because the track, you know, you'd have to be able to download it to some kind of device. Perhaps like a I don't know. Everybody has
like a
things
voice
different.
recorder or something, like an inexpensive voice recorder or something, where you could
What?
an
Right?
inexpensive voice recorder where you could just put a chip
Well,
in.
yeah, no, that wouldn't really work with that. I'm
Bluetooth
talking about
thing.
the track that would be used so that you can hear it and you can have it through headphones. I mean, you're using the phone, okay, you're using the phone. That's fine. But eventually, when you actually do the deed, you want all that stuff shut off. You don't want it on. And, you know, and if you can avoid using it at all, is what I'm saying would be better. Yeah, Olivia.
Yeah, what I do, maybe I could suggest to Daphne, what I do, I put my phone on the flight mode, which turns off the Wi-Fi and data, yeah, the mobile data. But I have it recorded on my phone, downloaded on my phone, so I can listen to the track without, you know, any Wi-Fi connection. Maybe that's better way of doing it.
If you download a player too, if you have a player, you can
Yeah,
set it
yeah,
on loop.
player
And
on a
it'll
loop.
just
Yeah, yeah.
it'll repeat itself. So like I'm sure there's like some free players out there. Anybody using a free player?
I do. It's in my
You're using a
phone.
free player,
Yeah.
so you're able to set it on loop. So that's yeah. But I went off on the idea of the cell phone and everything because it's important to know that you don't want any of these devices on when you're actually doing this. I mean, when you actually are preparing to go out of the body. For the process of training, it's fine. It is what it is. Okay. If you can avoid it, then that would be better. If you can print stuff out as hard copies and do that instead of reading it on
Mhm.
the thing, that's even better to do when it comes just to be able to go through it. Yeah, there's just so much traffic and so much infiltration and interference with all this stuff, it's just one less thing you need to contend with is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So I just thought I'd encourage you with that. Whatever you're able to do is what you're able to do. Okay. So anybody else have anything they want to talk about or?
I have a question.
Sure.
It's my last one. It's my concern. When you mention, or like, I would probably call it grounding the Akasha or working with the shield, the Akasha shield. When we bring down the Akasha down to, let's say, to Earth's Akasha, and that whole shield comes out and surrounds Earth, when you say spin, in what direction does it spin? Does it spin to the left or does it spin to the right?
Well, I'm feeling it spins to the right, but we're gonna, yeah, let me see how I can put this. First of all, that's the Maharic shield. Okay?
Yes, something like that.
Okay. Are you familiar? You know what that energy is? What consciousness that is? Okay, that's D12 consciousness band. It holds the original blueprint. It's a reset consciousness for the original blueprint. So that's what that is. The shield. Everything has that. Everything has that connection. But yeah, what do you feel? How it spins? It's for me. It goes to the right. It goes like this. It goes clockwise. Okay. But it's really about grounding yourself. That's what that really is. That's what's really happening there. And then having the understanding of what the Akasha symbol code is. It's referred to as the God seed code. And this is the first thing that we're going to go over before we even begin going through the sequences here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to rely on a lot of you folk here to read stuff because that's part of what we.
Alana, how do you say your name?
Yes,
Alani,
that was the next thing I was going to say.
her
Yes.
hand's raised, and I don't think she said hi yet. So maybe we
No, she did not. I wanted her to introduce herself.
How
If she
dare you,
would.
Alana?
Hi there, everyone. I'm so grateful to be here with you today. I've been watching you for a couple of weeks now and going back over the videos. And I'm sorry that I, A, was not on time today, and B, have not been physically interacting with you. But I was too nervous, quite honestly, to do that. And I got some very shocking guidance this morning, 20 minutes before I was supposed to actually be here, because I was humming and hawing again. And my son came through, and I had not known that I was getting time code messages from him and have been for quite some time. And it all came through, bam, this morning. So that's the motivation. I know what to show up for or why, because it's part of my ancestral and descendant healing process. And I just want to let you know that I'm a type 3 indigo, and that I really identify with a lot of Randy's path, and his teachings mean a lot to me. I also have a history of upper cervical damage. So when I listen to him share a number of things, they're quite relatable. And we've faced, if you don't mind my saying so, some similar challenges. So I certainly wouldn't ever take away from the dynamics of his. However, I'm super nervous for being here today, but super grateful because I know this is the calling, and I've been looking and waiting and preparing for 62 years for this. And so the reason I wanted to weigh in just a little bit here today in regard to the Maharic seal and the God Seed Akasha Code that Randy has been reinforcing is because one of the things I appreciate the most about him is his focus on individuation and singularity within collective, and how much it matters that everybody serve themselves in their own template, and that his teachings actually provide all of the mechanics that are needed to do that safely and in a way that really supports your individuation and relatability to self instead of feeling the pressure of the outer worlds. I don't know if any of you can relate to the outer world versus inner worlds journey, but that's kind of what happens with ascension or inscension. At a certain point, we have no choice, some of us, but to let go of every construct, which I've been doing repeatedly for quite some time. I found Keylontics in 2021, and now I'm done with it to the extent that I immersed myself, completely saturated myself in it for 2 years, so that I had the benefit of saying yes or no, this will or won't work, I am or am not comfortable. And Randy's now where I feel comfortable because his truth really is going to hit the mark for me every time. And it's going to move me past where I have been into what is a calling and the right kind of safety framework for me. His focus on the astral and the protection pieces really is very meaningful to me because I'm the kind of person that if I spin in the wrong direction, I don't know where I'm going to end up or whether I can even get back. And this has even been happening for so long that I didn't know what it was. And so with the Akasha God Seed Code, which is so profoundly beautiful, there's another version of it, the Hierophant Star. And so when we talk about whether it's going to spin in this direction or that, it's not about it being right or wrong. It's about, does it work for you, or what happens to you when you're using it in that way? And if you feel mixed up or things start coming down, then consider that my experience as an example is that I need to use the silver and the dark silver, like the light white, dark white, dark gray silver versions, so that they can spin in opposite directions together as I move them down into the earth, and it clears my field right into the earth core. And then I would use the Akasha because I love it, but it is going to pull me into different timelines. I really mean that. For some of us, if it only spins in one direction, we're going to end up going down a rabbit hole that we didn't really know we could or would or wanted to. And it gets really confusing. So what Randy is offering is given to you in such a really spacious way. And the more I listen to him, the more I'm able to honor myself. And that's what gets lost in all of the outer world teachings. You know, we have to do things a certain way in order to belong. And in that, we cannot belong to ourselves. The Akasha symbol and then the six-pointed Star of David, or the Hierophant, is represented in those two ways, to spin left and right at the same time. Those are pathways for us that will really address what is in everybody's template. So you get such a lot of inner learning and awareness from that. And I just wanted to bring that up. For me, it's dangerous sometimes to do things in a certain way. And as a type 3 indigo, life is learning the hard way by juxtaposition and absurdity. And so I just bring that to you now. It may or may not fit, but the safety piece is really significant because you're growing exponentially and funky stuff happens really quite unexpectedly. So that's all I got. Thanks, Randy. Hey. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.
I'm sorry I couldn't be here before. This is the best that I could do.
Well, I
Welcome.
greatly appreciate it. I'm glad that you could be present with us.
Me
And
too.
certainly you are a type 3 indigo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there were any until last year. It's like, what? Because I don't fit the type 1 or type 2. So I thought, here I go again. So
Yeah, it's a one-way mission. It's a one-way mission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Yeah, there's another word for that, but I won't use it. Yeah. So yeah, you only know when you know, right? So anyhow,
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to go with. Doesn't matter. Oh yeah, in regard to understanding that, in respect to the Ekasha symbol code, the Ekasha symbol code is the balancing of the natural order pertaining to the electrical and magnetic forces. So we're talking about Merkaba, another term to be used. So for those who haven't seen the videos on the Merkaba, I would highly recommend that, because it's really about that. This is the substructure forces, which is that, which I referred to, is what is initiated through the sentient will. This is what creates. Material doesn't exist. We manifest all this. So it's really important to understand that, you know, from the observational point of view, we look at it as this being particles, but it's actually not particles. We're holding things together. Or sentient consciousness is holding it together. So it's through our will. Another word to replace, not replace, but interchangeably with intention, is the word will. So, because there's a misconstrued concept of what intention is based on the definition that is used here, or how it's utilized within the definition here, within this world. So if there's any issue with that, just switch it, say will, okay? I'm looking into, I've been led towards particle physics for this reason, to explain things a little bit simpler. So we get past things that seem to get in the way, understand we have the power, we just have to harness the energy in order to express it. And this is my thing in regard to preparation, removing fear processing, the greatest intention that we have, that is the love for all life equally. Therefore, we become the love that we've always been. That is the process, so that we can exercise our conviction with the intention for the benefit of all life. You know, so we can never be off the mark when we're on that path. So, okay, has anybody have access to the PDF? Because I want us to jointly participate in reading, so that we can, you know, excuse the expression, be all on the same page. Right? Aligning ourselves. So let's take a look at the Unisci Ekasha, the source seed code, and just break that down, you know, because we're looking at code here. Code is used by the sentient that manifests. So again, it's important to understand that everything that is going on within this world is through a altered code. But that's how you work. That's how you command the ether. You command the ether through the codes.
Okay.
So it's important that we understand what the codes are, so that our intention is very, very clear. So again, to emphasize, when we come together to do this in a unified way, we all have the same definition. We all understand equally, and therefore we all can be one with our intention. So anybody would like to volunteer? Brian, perhaps?
Which page are we
I'm
reading?
not trying to put you on the spot, Brian. Well, I don't have it in front of me because everything is handwritten here. I don't have anything printed out because I can't print out anything that I have. So I just handwrite things out. So I don't know if it's exactly the same way that I have it. It's probably close, I'm sure.
Are we starting with the
yeah, because we're beginning with the Ekasha symbol code, because we're utilizing that as the request before we move into the sequences of tones.
Okay. So the first words I got on here says bottom line, What we are going to be doing here is aligning our intention with the structure of this universe design, intention through design. The request, this is our birthright when entering this structure. The Ekasha equals the oneness of light and sound. It is also the source seed code. We are operating through the source seed code. Ekasha, these three tones or syllables represent the triunity of this harmonic universal structure. So it is through this we establish the sequential pathways or current conduits. Note, these sequential pathways are expressing triunity. Am I saying that correctly? Triunity? Triunity?
Sure.
Then it goes on to sequential pathway 1, 2, and 3. Pathway 1 is the in breath. Pathway 2 is the pause breath. Pathway 3 is the out breath. It's all about intention. The in breath is the seeding, the conceiving. The pause breath is the creation, equaling forming and growing. The out breath is the manifestation, birthing and projecting. The tones are moving sequentially from the cosmic manifestation template, energy matrix primal sound fields, through the primal light fields, harmonic universes 5, density 5, from which the seeding for dimensions 12 through 1 takes place. This begins the initiators for the manifest reality fields, harmonic universes 4 through 1. Note, we all reside in the primal sound and light fields, hence the name higher selves. And clearly, therefore, throughout all dimensional fields and all parallel reality fields. This all is at our facility according to the natural order. This is our birthright. And then it goes into the Unisai Ekasha source seed code and explains the meanings of the names.
Would you like to go through that, or somebody else would like to read?
Somebody else.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
I can read.
Thank you, Daphne.
So the Unisai Ekasha source code seed. So there's the Ek equals void, Partakai, still point, divine source spirit, Manu. The Ka is pre-light, Partika, oscillation, divine father, Mana. Sha is pre-sound, particum, vibration, divine mother, Ire. And then there's the Ruche being the core code of the Ekasha. And Randy pointed out to us that that's right in the middle of that teardrop Ekasha picture. I didn't notice that till you mentioned that. I hadn't studied it that closely. But then there's the Ekasha is the balance of the electrical and magnetic forces. The source seed code carries the photosonic mathematical programs of the primal sound fields and bridging source seed rhythms to source. This is a geomathematical program that holds and directs scalar waves interactions within the planetary shields, the mathematical frequency corresponding to the underlying structure of our universal system.
Okay, so anybody have any questions or anything related to what was just read? Anything? Okay, so everybody understands what a photosonic mathematical program is. Only reason why I'm bringing this up is because we're looking to simplify things so that our intention can be clear. We want to be able to feel, not just know in thought. We want to be able to feel what we're saying. So it needs to be as simple as possible for us in order to do that, right? Yes.
I think even though we may all think we know what it is, it would be wonderful for you as the leader of this group to just go back over what a photosonic mathematical program actually is.
Yeah. So if we look at the encryption, now, first of all, did anybody understand what the encryption means? The word encryption? Have a general idea what that is?
Meaning behind.
Okay. So if we look at the encryption of the Partakai, when we look at the Partakai, it's the same thing as the Unisci. The word Unisci means the point of all union, okay? This is a name given by certain guardian races, okay? So we're looking at the smallest unit of consciousness through which the program runs, and this is being the Partakai. It's triune, right? There's three aspects to it. Although it's one, they're not separate from one another. It's like looking, I don't want to get too far into this, but it's like looking at the idea of the Merkaba, right? We see it as two things, two counter-rotating fields. Well, it's really not two separate things. It's one thing. It's like sound and light are one thing.
Yeah.
So without going into depth about that, what you see within the Partakai, the encryption, is an inversion of itself. The first creation, vibration, thought, intention is the Ire, because the initial creation is then a copy is produced from that, and that copy is the Ire. So the initial one is really the Ire, but through the copy, there is an extended aspect of that unfolding code, which creates an inversion of itself. That is what is understood as being the Partakai, okay? And there's what is taking place there as it creates an inversion of itself, which is many different aspects. If you look at magnetism as an example, the inversion of that is electrical, okay, equals opposite expression. So anything that you see within that's listed in regard to the Ire, you're going to see equal opposite expression of, because it's an inversion of itself or a projection. And so this is referred to as being fission fusion. So what it's doing in the simplest terms is creating a flash on and off sequence. Hence the reason why we have parallel, quote unquote, realities, okay? Because it's infinite. All right. Sort of like looking, like you're taking a camera. I don't know if anybody's experienced old analog cameras or whatever, and you went up to a mirror and you looked at this, you have this infinite aspect of self extended. Well, that's really what's going on with that too. That's interesting. I removed all the mirrors in my house except for one, because they act as portals.
Yeah.
They act as portals. And so you'll notice if you're having them, I'm sidetracking here, but I'll get back on track with what I'm talking about. But this, if you have any kind of weird things happening in your home, you're going, the energy doesn't feel right. It's like, what's going on? And you're having this thing going on with you, right? Try, if you have a mirror in front of a door, remove that mirror. And remove anything that, or mirror connected to another mirror that could cause, because they're doorways, and yet spirits will just walk right through them, you know, and you'll get a lot of uninvited guests only because you have open doors. So, you know, you want to kind of perhaps test that.
Let me take this mirror down now, even though I'm at my friend's house.
Well, if it's next to a door, it's
Yeah,
definitely
right
going to
on.
be a portal. So anyhow, so it's a flash. Go back to what I was saying in the photosonic mathematical program. So it's a flash line sequence of a very specific sequence that's taking place. Hence the reason why I refer to these tones in the order that they're at as being sequences. Okay. So does anybody have any any questions about that, or did I make that clear, or did I digress too much where I allow the context to get lost?
That's great.
Should I go over it again? Is everybody good? Okay.
We get the encryption.
Okay, you got that? So in other words, so we see again the primal sound fields and the bridging of the source seed rhythms to source. So this is a feedback loop that it's creating.
Yeah.
It's sort of like let's see if I can pull from analogy. It's like being in a place where you're echoing, you're speaking, and it's bouncing, you're getting a feedback, a quick, immediate feedback based on the rhythm of your voice. So you're going 1, 2, and it's bouncing back to you. This is what's going on, so to speak. That's an analogy for what's taking place. So it's constantly being fed back to source. Source knows exactly what's going on. Within the code is the attachment to all sentient life. There's an awareness exactly what's going on. So another way to look at this in regard to why one comes into manifestation, source is experiencing it through you. Because it itself, like yourself, that doesn't take on manifest reality or come into it, can only experience what it experiences in regard to boots on the ground or within the construct itself. So as a soul family, a part of that aspect of self subdivision comes into a reality field, and then when it comes back out, the rest of which is your group, quote unquote collective, is able to now merge, and then they experience it. They can see what's going on, but they can't experience it because they're not here, right? So, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, seems to me, obviously to me at this point, is because you have the right to rewrite the script up to a certain point. Up to a certain point. I didn't include that last time because there's certain things that everybody has that are not like the others. Like, as an example, type 3 indigo. That particular mission is not like all the rest. It's just not. So there's so much that I can change here, and certain things I just cannot, because I done signed up for it, you know? So it's going to play out its way out in the way that it's going to play itself out. And only I know what that is for me, okay? To a certain extent. I got enough of it where I'm able to let go most of it, because it's a bit too overwhelming in some cases, and has been. But again, it's very important that you understand the significance of how and what you do here. And getting out of the body is very important for you personally to know absolutely what that is. Now, for me, I went through quite a few things where it's taken a while, but I know exactly what that is. I didn't need to get out of the body to find that out, okay? But I would have much preferred if I was able to get out of the body much earlier with the proper training to access certain things so that I could further fulfill with the greatest of my ability, should I say, earlier on. But okay, so I digress. So a geomathematical program, anybody understand what that is? I mean, since we're
Mathematical program.
if this is something that you don't want to talk about, just say we're done with that. Let's move on. I don't want to waste your time.
Explain
Geo
it.
is like material, and then mathematical would be, obviously the equations.
Right. It would geomathematical referring to when we talk about geometry, where we're talking about shape, right? Aren't we? Yeah. So this is a reference to shape.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
everything's crystalline, and even plasma. I had somebody come on my channel and look to correct me about that. I go, no, it's of the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a different form, So it's that's just one of the downstepped aspects of form. So, but it's all crystalline. So that's what's in reference to geomathematical. So
Gotcha.
there's math to it. Yeah. So yeah, the structure, and that has to do with the substructure, right? What creates the structure is the substructure design or codes. Back to that again. How powerful it is to command the codes, right? Because what creates the shape? What creates the shape? What creates the form? because it's all light, but what creates the form?
Tension.
We do. We do. So again, to interchange the idea of the use of intention with will, your will. Yeah, see, source, if you want to, creates the math, and then the other beings create the form. That's really what it's going on.
Wow.
So we're responsible for all this, and we have the ability. That's the reason why I use the word birthright. It's a given. You don't have to earn it. The idea of accessing our energy so that transmutation can occur, so we can hold more energy and move into the higher timelines of consciousness, right? So that we can facilitate. And that's what this is all about. It's looking to train for that. But ultimately, what this really is about coming together here is doing it unified. That's the reason why we need to remove all the questions that may be coming up so that everybody's clear, so that we can do the thing. You know. I see somebody else popped in. Could you introduce yourself? I'm sorry, I can't see the screen very well, so I can't read the names.
Abria.
Hi.
Excuse me?
I'm Abria.
Oh, hi, Abria.
Hi.
Say hi, everybody.
Welcome.
It's good to have you here. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
So, is there anything else anybody want to bring up? Anybody have anything that they would like to talk about?
Quick question.
Sure.
I fall into the category of the indigo threes also. From my studies, I've heard that they could be changed. Is that true or not? They
Yes,
could be
yes,
to
you can,
ones?
if you can, the idea is to hold more of your energy, which is the process of transmutation, okay? Dimensional bands of consciousness, right? Yeah, and you can move from type 3 to a type 1 capability. A type 1 capability is holding the energy to bring it in to transmute things here. Let me clarify this. Like for an Orpheum embodiment here, for the idea of really affecting the, being able to infiltrate the programs of the fallen in order to make a difference, would be a type 1. Okay. There's not a whole lot of type 1s. There really isn't. Okay. Because they don't look human. All right. Because in order to hold the energy that they're holding, I mean, it's a lot of energy that they're holding. Because it's people that look to do grid work. They're type 2. They're not really type 1. At least that's what I can see, because I understand the energy that's required to hold that, because we're talking about planetarily holding energy. So I would, there are those that are here though that I would say that function as that, and I alluded to this before within the last workshop in regard to holding a body here and holding a body in the second harmonic universe at the same time. Yeah, and their IQ is off the charts, because photographic memory. That, I mean, literally there's very few that really have a photographic memory. I'm talking about reading something once and then 20 years later be able just to turn to that page and quote it. They're holding a lot of, you holding the energy to be able to do that. You see, here we're working with a compromised vessel, and the idea is to transmute it so that we can hold that energy, because typically that's a normal thing. It's not a special thing. It just seems to be a special thing in a place where everybody else seems to be handicapped because of the condition. So is there anything anybody would
Yeah, and
Okay,
some
so
When, okay.
let's focus
I was
again
just
on the
gonna ask-
Ekasha, because let's go back to that, right? So when you're looking at the center, you're looking at the Rushe. So has everybody has taken a look and did their homework with the cosmic shorts?
Yeah.
Really kind of need to go through the entire series, but I kind of focused on one particular video, which was the cosmic clock. Then
Mhm.
somebody in the chaos community called me out on that and said, "Oh, they're not aligning up right." And they called the Cathar, they called them nodes, and I go, "They're not nodes. That's not what they're called." So, but anyhow, if you go through the next video and you're looking at the mana window, you can it explains what's going on. I created a little video. It has a pulse wave and called it the mana window pulse wave meditation. I did that because somebody enjoyed it. They got something from it. I go, okay, then I'll just create a little video for that, since people, I'm always trying to, well, used to be. Things are changing now, but looking to try to assist people with what is good for them. So yeah, if you haven't done that, I would highly recommend that. It's again about understanding what the Ekasha is really. You know, it's not just a pretty teardrop. You know, it's about, again, aligning yourself with your intention, and we're talking about unified. It's individuated, but in order for us to work like that, we all have to have the same intention, at least the same conviction. Okay, to where we release thought, and our will just becomes now the focus or the energy behind what we're doing. You know, so this is just a process in order for that to happen. So inform yourself as much as possible. You know, that's all I'm saying. Just so that you can be clear about what it is that we're doing. You know, that's the reason why I had mentioned before, not to belabor this, but this isn't really about singing. This is about intention in a unified way, in a pulse, unifying to where we become one pulse. See, and eventually the idea is to be able to do this within your own community, or within where you live, you know, physically where you live, not the online thing, but so that under the same roof, you have that intention of individuals. Quite powerful, quite powerful. So that's how things will change, and that's what I've experienced. I've experienced it firsthand. I know how that works. Yeah, there's been this without going too far down this road, because I have a tendency to kind of digress a bit, but there's this tendency for what has been going on with the alternative agenda to keep people apart, and that's purposeful for what I'm talking about, because there's a few that do know exactly how powerful it is when we come together within unity, because again, to emphasize what holds everything together, our wills. So, and when we come together where our electromagnetic fields are united and we're pulsing as one, oh my goodness.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not just like, you know, I had mentioned, it's not just like one and then you have two. Oh, you know, we got two. No, it amplifies. And it becomes quite intense, or can. And for the benefit of all life, you know, that's the whole point. Change consciousness around you so they can remember who they are, so they can take on their true nature. And that's transformative, you know. It's not just it's just not just an awareness, it's transformation that's taking place because of the energy that's been harnessed. So, anywho, I am going to go to the facility because I feel the need.
Okay.
So talk amongst yourselves.
May I go get a cup of tea then, everyone, seeing as somebody else is going on another kind of a break? Is that all right?
Yes,
Anyone?
I need some coffee too. I need
Okay,
some coffee
really
as
need a
well.
cup of tea.
I'm gonna go smash some mirrors. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you for taking that mirror down. That's awesome. Be right back.
Man, that was interesting. This is pretty cool. This meetup with the explanation. We've heard this before of the intention, but now it seems like it's really starting to sink in more. Like we're really getting ready to start sinking our teeth into it.
Yeah, man.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I hope so.
I agree. I agree.
I'm glad I'm here with you all.
Me too.
We're here with you.
It's nice. Oh man, how is the weather where everybody's at?
Very
Cold.
cloudy.
In Portugal, it rains today, yeah, and it's very, because we're in Europe, it's already, what is that, 10:15, and the weather was raining, and it's a carnival time, so normally everyone would be celebrating, but it was a disaster today, and tomorrow previewed as well, not too good. Yeah.
That stinks.
Where are you in Portugal?
Yeah, next to Lisbon, in the south part of Lisbon. It's called Sesimbra. It's very pretty, very beautiful. I normally live in Amsterdam, but I came to, I have a house here, so, and Olia lives here, so that's why we know each other. And she was like, come on, join me for the meeting. It's going to be interesting. So I thought that's a great opportunity to join you guys. But I have so many questions. It's incredible. You know, one of the things, maybe you guys can help me out. So I am so confused recently. I am questioning. I'm questioning my skills. You know, I've been doing the esoteric work for so many years, and I am a hypnotherapist, and I do a lot of regression into the past lives, and I can also bring it to the future, etc. But since a few weeks, I'm just thinking that it's all for me is not happening. I can't do that. I'm not sure whether I am what I'm doing. I'm questioning whether I have the power. So, you know, I cannot read aura. I'm just thinking that I'm not a shaman anymore. I think I'm a charlatan. Do you know what I'm trying to tell you right now? It's eating me inside out.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you do that, you reach a point where you question everything.
I am questioning everything. I cannot live like that anymore.
That's good. That's good.
No, it's not good. It's eating me out.
Not.
I think I'm a fraud. Do you understand? I think I'm a fraud.
You're now becoming all.
Well, if you were a fraud, you wouldn't be saying that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I'm a very direct, straightforward, and right to the point fraud.
Well, you know, that's the thing about getting out of the body. You don't speculate anymore.
No.
I mean, that's a process, because you can get, if you know, it is a process to get out of the body and know that you have access. You don't have to ask for anything. As long as you can hold it, and that's the other thing. You have to learn how to hold it, and not only learn how to hold it when you're out of the body, but to be able to bring it back. You know, so, but what it does do is bring clarity. You don't speculate. You don't believe to know something. And the reason why one would question anything is because they don't know. It's about knowing, right? And for me, I learned to read. Goes back to 1993 when I was first bedridden. I learned to read energy. I not only learned to read energy, but to know the language. So I don't doubt myself when I come to know something. I know what it is. I know enough also just to say, I also know, and this applies to everybody because we're all the same in this regard, that I'm a creator being. So I'm creating my own reality. So whatever you decide to do is dependent on where your energy goes. And so it needs to be clear, because if you go out of the body, okay, I get on a roll, I have to finish my thought. So anyhow, when you get out of the body, you have to be able to control what you're doing in regard to your manifesting, which is your thoughts at this point. So that's the whole that's part of the training aspect. You're processing fear. You're learning how to control what you're doing. You're being very clear with your intention. And as this continues, if one continues to practice this, what you do is you separate yourself from all the Grand Central Station traffic. You don't hear it anymore. I remember, I mentioned this before, I've been in a certain state, a waking state, where I am separate from everything. Okay? And I have no thoughts. None. Just intention. It's clear. It's just ringing harmoniously. I could be there. You could be there forever. I would be fine with being there for eternities. I'm perfect. I don't need anything. So it's the attachments that we have here and the conditioning that confuses things. Letting go is a big thing. It's a huge thing. It's easy to do when you're forced to do it, but it takes a bit of training when you're not forced to do it to let go. Because you're not losing anything. You're actually making room for yourself when you do that.
I'm losing my brain. I'm losing my mind. I can't.
That's okay. Let it go. It's not yours then, because that's not who you really are. So let go of that. They can have it. Let go of it. It's easy. Who you are, or the eternal aspect of yourself, is constant. So all that which is experienced here within manifest reality in respect to identity, it's especially here, it's a distortion. And when we are able to separate ourselves from what we really are, and the distortion is when we're able to truly let go, because we realize that's not me. And it's easy, but it's a process, You got to be willing to let go, because we identify with this body and everything here so much. It's a conditioning, a programming. So, it's a process of unprogram, because there's programming is going on all the time. You're always programming yourself one way or form another here. So it's just about reprogramming yourself,
Okay, but why can't I see aura? Why can't I not see it? Why?
Here's another question. Well, one of the reasons why you don't see is because you're not holding enough energy for you to be able to do that. And you're a particular type that is in this state that you can't see it. But here's the thing, let go of it. What I'm saying is that all things are accessible. Okay. All things are accessible, but there's things that are here in the conditions in regard to how the body is, the digression within the mathematics, which is not real math anyhow, that is affecting all this. And so this is the reason why I'm emphasizing letting go, because if you can't identify with it, why this is not happening for you, well, then let it go, because it doesn't belong to you, so that you can get with what you're looking for. But you'll find, this is the key, you'll find what you're looking for is not what you thought you were looking for. So it's just about letting go. It's okay. It doesn't belong to you, right? Who you are is unchangeable as an eternal being. So connect with that. More you connect with that, more of that is integrated. More of the aspect of soul is integrated within this incarnation. The more awareness one has, and it makes it easier to let go of the other stuff because it's not relevant.
Thank you.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
It's a process. It's okay. It's all good. Take your time.
Yeah. Is it okay to weigh in?
Just don't beat up on yourself anymore. Don't do that.
Yeah, it's difficult for me. Seriously, it had been a few very, very difficult months. I thought I'm just losing control over myself, and I mean, it's
No, I understand. It's tough here. It's hard. But the more that because go back to the idea of reprogramming ourselves and letting go of those things. Just allowing the peace to come on you I mean, there's a particular technique that I'll utilize. I don't do it the same way that I used to do it or did it when I first started with it, but it's just dropping into my heart, taking the mind energy and allowing it to drop into my heart where it just neutralizes it, falling into that state of neutrality, which is actually my understanding of the Manu energy. Because when you look at the Partakai, the encryption, you see that as one of the identities of how one comes to understand what that is a buffer field, which is a field for neutrality. So fusion fission doesn't take place there. It's like the state that I have been in personally, where I'm not thinking anymore. It's either it's an act or a fact. I'm in a neutral state, but my intention is there if I want to bring it forward. It's very harmonious, you know.
Would it be okay for me just to offer one small piece there to that, Randy, or is it?
Sure, absolutely. That's what we're doing here.
Okay. So. Well, I can certainly relate to what both of you have said. Pardon me, I can't really see very well, and so I'm having trouble with who I'm speaking to or listening to, so I apologize if I get it wrong. But some of us are see feelers, and I don't know if any of you can relate to that. Now, there is no denying that I have corruption within my template, but my origin design does not involve my brain in my head.
No, it
and
doesn't.
My data comes from outside of my body, and the brain in the head is the data capture system. And it's really hard to have conversations with the outside world when everybody's focused on life needing to be a certain way, or spirituality having to look a certain way. And so it must be very uncomfortable for somebody who's trying to figure it out to not have the same experiences. That's why I'm so happy I found Randy, because I'm not having the same darn experiences. And that's epic, actually. I love that. Now that I've accepted that I just need to let go of things. If somebody were to ask me in the past, well, what color is my aura? I would just know I needed to see it with my body and my solar plexus before my brain could understand what I was experiencing. And I would get it right according to those other people. But if I were to try going into the old head brain, no way. It's just confusion in there. That's my capture and process.
Right.
And it's the last thing that knows what's going on, by the way, the last thing. And even that's scientifically proven. So I would just hope that you can give yourself a break and just be gentle and kind and allow, because in fact what takes place within the brain itself will develop more if we soften and let go of needing things to happen a certain way. And it's exciting to start noticing in each person's unique singularity. You'll learn more that way than trying to learn by prescripted institutional means, So that's what I got, Randy. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, if we look at what the aura is, it's frequency spectra. So you can one can determine that just based on the person's demeanor. So it's, again, to emphasize, so I don't really lose track, the intention for what I'm doing here is really a 40-year process. Okay. And it's for us, that is humanity here, quote unquote, to work together, to be on the same page, to manifest, because again, to emphasize, what we understand as the material world is actually consciousness holding it together through intention or will. That is the sentient being. I know, doesn't sound right, does it? It's true. That's exactly what holds everything together. So there's really no particles. That's not what that is. It's light being formed through intention. First, creation, vibration, thought, intention. Intention's everything. That's the reason why I keep saying that. It is. Again, you can substitute it with the word will. one's will. So for us to collectively have the same will is extremely powerful. And that's the reason why I've been doing this. You know, I want to, honestly, I am going to fulfill what my contract is for how long that it is for. But once it's done, see you on the other side. So, you know, no attachments other than to my brothers and sisters for the purpose, for the benefit of all life. For me, one of the things that I've been doing, had been doing with communicating Keylontic science is that I look to try to take the complicated and simplify it, because we don't got time for complications. We need simple stuff. We need for our intention to be very clear, because we have the ability to start manifesting, because we're doing it anyhow. But collectively, for the benefit of all life, I know it's a process. It's taken me 40 years to get to this point. But that's where change is going to take place. And that's the reason why I've given my life for it. Part of being an indigo, you know, type 3, because it's sort of like jumping in. My life has been, I don't want to talk too much about this, and Alana knows why I wouldn't want to talk about it, but it's like jumping in without the lifesaver to save those that do have lifesavers on.
Yeah.
It's a one-way trip.
Are
And
there others?
you know, only I know what I've gone through to be where I'm at here. Suffering doesn't even fit into the context of what I'm saying. I've probably been resurrected about 3 or 4 times. Yeah, well, it doesn't happen in a waking state, I can tell you that. But the reason why that is, just so everybody understands what I mean, is because my contract isn't up. And it's important for the avatar to stay here. But it's been hell in a lot of cases. I know and understand what I understand, and I don't reveal half of it because of this, of what I've gone through here. And a lot of traffic, a lot of agendas here, and a lot of entrapments through experience that makes you think that it's true. I've been saying for the very longest time, and I don't mean to upset anybody when I say this, but you have to be able to test your experiences. And if you have no way to do that, best not to subscribe to the experience. Do you understand what I mean by this?
No, what do you mean?
Okay. Because the experience that you could be having, reliving, is an implanted memory, and it's not yours. But because it's connected to your nervous system, the experience is real. Oh, it's real, all right. But is it true?
No idea.
So it takes a while. So again, let me go back to what I said earlier about simple. The love that I have always been, to me, that is simple but so profound that it's it's overlooked. Most people within the community, spiritual communities, do not hang on that. I hang on that with everything that I have, down to a thumbnail's grip. Why? Because there's nothing against that. There is nothing that can interfere with that other than try to take that away from me. And that is not possible. I know who I really am, and that's what I am, the core of me. My individuation is who I am. But what am I? I am the love that's always been. I'm many things, but that's the catalyst. That's the trump card within this construct. And if you can't exhibit that, like I mentioned before, there's been plenty of times where I couldn't do that, but I could go neutral. I know how to do that. It's like, I don't even have to flip the light switch. I'm there. So don't hold on too tightly to the experiences here and what is understood as your identity here. Don't hold on to it too strongly. Hold on to it very loosely. Find liberty in that, because there's a great deal of liberty in that if you allow it.
If I could just say one more quick thing.
Sure.
Thank you. I mentioned at the onset that my son had been sending me indicators to show up here, and I hadn't gotten them until 20 minutes beforehand. And the other message that was with it was to keep it simple. It was exactly what Randy was just saying. So I offer that as a synchronous piece. And I'll bet that each of you has a whole whack of synchronicity unpacking itself in regard to your interactions here. And those are some blessings. And so if the self-questioning and the concern around not being able to define your self-experiences as you used to start showing up, I find that grace comes in having faith in all the threads of synchronicity that weave themselves together to bring us each here, because there isn't a mistake that we're here. And so, the ascension to ascension process is really hard on people. That the massive amounts of self-doubt and suffering that come because of the self-questioning can really take us out. And we all are tasked with learning many different skills individually that may not be given to us with any regard from the outer world, because they'll doubt you or question you. And I just want you to know that I uphold each and every one of you precisely as you show up in any form, as exactly what you are intended to be in those moments, and that the grace of those synchronicity threads are absolutely birthright magic. Okay, and so just want to mention that because I do feel for everyone that's here in that regard. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, shall we begin?
We shall.
Let's do it.
All right, so we've taken a look at the Akasha symbol code, what it is. Everybody clear on that? It's okay, because we'll keep revisiting this. I've been saying this from the very beginning because I know it's important that we continue to revisit if we need to. And the reason why I keep asking is because I want to hear what you have to say. So there's that. So has everybody taken a look at, again, the cosmic shorts? Brian, you mentioned something about this last time, and then you said you got it. And then you had painted a picture and you sent it to me. And would you like to elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. I've been going over this information for about a year and a half now, and I've watched the cosmic shorts probably 2 times before, and I've been really intrigued in learning geomancy and sacred geometry and learning these things. I'm just trying to understand it more, but it's interesting. What it came down to is all divine timing, because when we had our first workshop and you encouraged us again to go over the cosmic shorts, and Randy, they're freaking amazing. They are short and they don't burn you out, even though for this time that I went over them, I had to keep on rewinding them because I was involved in it. And I looked at the Akasha, and I started looking at the 12 tree grid during that part of the cosmic clock. I believe that's the part where they're unifying. And I saw the Ruche, and I finally got a component of the Akasha and what the Ruche actually is. It started piecing together. I was like, holy bleep. That was it was just an epiphany of how complex what this symbol actually starts representing, and that Ruche representing all of those 12 chakras, and the way they're pillars,
Mhm.
they're pillars, the chakras
Yeah.
or columns, and how they're all together in that in sync. So I guess that code, that center part is the most is the solidifying aspect of this code, and I'm just looking forward to understand what the other parts represent eventually, and I'm assuming that's going to come in divine timing also.
Yeah, you know, here's something that will help glue things together, I do believe. Something that's overlooked because one starts looking at these geometric shapes and these symbols and these codes, and there's like a detachment from it. Okay, like it's a separate thing and it's static, right? It's consciousness. These are beings embodying form, like we're embodying this one. So it's very important to understand that everything is alive. And when I did like the elemental commands for the Crystal River, my connection and association with any of the aspects of the elements is communion. It's not a separate thing. It's life that I'm immersing myself with and co-creating with. And there's a understanding within a reverence and respect for one another. Hence the reason why I did 2 videos on the elemental commands. The second one was explaining the reason why I did it and what I was bringing to it. And first of all, creating the music for it, but the intention with what was behind it, right? And within that PDF, you can read why I did it and how it relates to that co-creative union. It's an intimate thing. It's very intimate, all of it. So when you're looking at the Akasha, this is referred to as being the request in regard to going through these sequences, right? I'm using the word sequences for how they're put in order, the tones in relationship to the construct design. The request is a very intimate thing. So when you're using these 3 tones, right? Akasha, you understand it's not you're just saying 3 tones, you understand what it is. You see the triunity within it. You understand what it represents. You understand that immersed, you are there and we're there from the beginning. There is no beginning, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's an intimate connection and respect towards one another. So the request is Umae, Treinae, Ekasha. You understand what I'm saying? There's a reverence and respect for that. It's an intimate connection. It's an intimate mutual respect. You see what I'm saying? I'm emphasizing this because this is so important that when we're doing this, know how intimate this is.
Thank you.
So when we're
Yeah.
directing the codes, commanding as it's called, in order to bring in the energy for the purpose of what? So I can transmute and ascend? Forget about it. I'm not here for ascension. Okay, just personally, I'm not gonna say that that's what I'm here. I know that's not my mission. That's a byproduct. Okay, but it's not the mission. My mission is for the benefit of all life. So therefore, reverence, right? Because of what I'm doing, the intention is for the benefit of all life. And it's mutual because this is the divine order, right? So about being on the same page, that's what I'm referring to. So with what we're doing, we're in unity, commanding the ether.
Okay.
This is our birthright. This is just how it works. And so we do it. But we do it with reverence and with intimate connection. Might I add just one more thing? Because of that connection on an intimate level like that, the emotion that we hold here becomes a very strong catalyst to manifestation, because it goes back again to what? Will, right? Our will. It's held together by what? Our will. And there is no greater will than that of the benefit for all life. There is nothing greater than that. Because this is the initial intention. This is the first creation, vibration, thought, intention. Right? Polarity is fine. Polarity is necessary. You have to have choice, because there's no way to expand without, or for the creation to be perpetuated, right? Ongoing new. It's always about the new thing without that polarity. Okay, so polarity is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's part of the design structure. And it's there from the very beginning. Did that help things a bit?
Yes.
Okay, great. So,
Thanks, Brian.
shall we go over the first intention, embedding, the in-breath, which is the first sequence? And we can, we'll just go over that and we'll just call it a day after the first one here, because like I said, there's a lot to do. And just to emphasize, the homework that you folks would have would be, myself included, of course, is to look at the PDF, go over any other material that that comes to me to suggest that would be beneficial, so that, you know, your intention becomes that much more clear. So anybody would like to go through the first one? It breaks it down. Everybody knows, anybody knows where that's at, and you can all take turns or whatever. It's not very long, but you know. There's really no point in going over the music or anything right now. Plus, I'm going to ask the question, everybody download the music for this? Just so you know, you can be able to pronounce it and all that. Okay, great, awesome. So, Ire Shah Ra DK She Ta Prana Chi. Anybody want to go through that and just break it down and how it relates to the universal structured system?
Sure. So the directive, do you just want me to give the descriptions of each of those broken down?
Yeah, that would be good. That's a good place.
Okay. So Ire equals pre-sound vibration. Sha is the sound. Ra is the ecstatic field 1, tone 1, oneness, Manu. D is polaric field 2, tone 1, Particum and Partic. K is the triadic field 3, tone 1, triune, Unici. Sha, or Sha-A, is that how you say it?
Yeah, Shay.
Shay, dimension 15, hue 5, HU5. Frequency, spectra, violet flame. Trey is D10 tone, HU4. Mira is D7 tone, HU3. Prana is dimension 4 or D4 tone, HU2. And then Chi is D1 tone, HU1, the primal sound levels and dimensional field 12, 1 are the harmonic intervals of the third apart, or 1/3 apart.
Yeah, you'll notice this being very harmonic. In other words, like harmonious. It's very harmonic, the structure. It's like it's when you go out of the body, I've experienced this waking up in the body a long time ago. I would wake up and I'd hear this music.
Mhm.
I was somewhere else before before I woke up in the body. I just brought it with me, you know. It goes back to what I mentioned before. Sometimes you awaken in the vessel, and you just feel elated. You just like you were someplace really cool. you were getting charged, man. So there's music in everything. It's a symphony. It's very symphonic. The whole arrangement is symphonic. The expression of the love comes with so many different aspects of expression that emanates from that aspect of divine love, for lack of terms. There's really no way to put words to it, but it's very harmonious. So, but at the same time, it's very mathematical. If you'll notice, and you look at the first sequence, it ends with chi, right? That's dimension 1, right? Okay. This is where we ground ourselves in order to be able to hold and harness the energy so it can be brought in collectively. And what is the next one? Re and ki, right? So dimensions, what do we got going on there? What dimensions are those, folks? Yeah, so what is Re?
Dimension 3, 1,
Chi-Ki Re? Chi-Ki Re?
Wow.
What's Chi-Ki Re?
Energy.
Yeah, true. But we're talking about energy centered. We're talking about bands of consciousness, because that's what dimensions are, right? Frequency.
Oh, Chi-Ki. It's really interesting because all this time.
Brian, you should know this because you spent some time with
Yeah.
the sound and light techniques, right?
No,
So you should know
I'm
what
just,
Chi-Ki Re is, right?
no, I
Just
remember
busting your
the
chops, man.
tones going over them. That's where I'm thinking about it.
It's okay, dude.
But
I'm just messing with you.
I'm just thinking about how I've learned there's different ways to say prana, ki, chi, and you all think it's the same exact thing, which ultimately
Well,
it
it's
is.
dimensions. It's meant
But it's
dimensions 1, 2, and 3.
dimensions.
Chi-Ki
Holy
Re,
cow.
dimensions
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3. So these are consciousness bands, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Right. So we're talking about the first harmonic universe here. What you'll notice is what I'm saying. These are sequential. The reason why I refer to it as being sequential pathways is because sequence meaning there's an order to it, right? Specifically, so like when you look at the Maharic seal as an example, there's a focus on the seal part, and there's not really a focus on the grounding part, which actually enables the ability to have to hold the energy.
Yeah.
And so when we're looking at this is what we're seeing. We're seeing first through from Ire, so it's a line from the beginning that we have within the primal sound fields, right? The energy matrix, right? Cosmic template, right? And then it moves into the inversion of the sound, which is light, which is the primal light fields. And then it moves into so it's just moving from our first individuation through, and then it has to ground itself because it's a circuit. This is a circuit because we're dealing with what? Electromagnetic forces. So it's a circuit. So we have to ground to where we're at. We have, the idea of being in sync with the body that we're on, right? Is like you have to work it up to do that. No, you couldn't be here if you weren't in sync with it. The idea is grounding, and they're grounding to the 12th dimensional consciousness, which is a shield, in other words, it's a signet that allows for being able to hold that consciousness energy, right? So the earth has one, we all have one. It's referred to as being a shield or the Maharic shield, right? So what we're doing is through command, we're grounding, we're hardwiring ourselves to it in order to hold that current, in order to bring it in, right? Which is a slow process, but that's what we're doing here. So as you can see, the sequence of that's played out here with the tones is exactly that. So you'll notice, as Daphne read, there's a third apart. It's interesting. There's a third apart, triune, third apart. You know, the math is precise here. Okay, unlike within the fallen state here, the math is not precise. It's not even math. You know, we have fractions, and fractions doesn't exist within the natural order. Okay, you know, because you can get a fraction to where you can end up having an infinite number, 3, 3, 3, 3. You know, whatever front of it, point, blah 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 blah, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and it just keeps going and going and going. You can't measure anything like that. There is no precision with that. Okay, things are not. The idea, obviously, what we're doing here is bringing in the natural order and the math and aligning ourselves with the code commands that are of the natural order, right? Am I babbling too much or what? You got to let me know, guys, because
No.
Is this making sense to you?
Yes.
Great.
yes, yes.
Understand why we're doing it
Thank
the way
you,
that
and
we're
thank you
doing
for
it?
reading as well. Mhm.
Okay.
No, you're all right.
So
So
we're going to be eventually sounding these tones, correct? So
Yeah,
Ira, Shara, DK, Shade,
yes.
Gaia,
Well, that's
Nirvana.
what the track that I created is for. To get familiar how to pronounce it, you know. And I also mentioned before, I think was the first workshop we had, that when you're listening to it, go ahead and listen to it and then read as you're reading through it and familiarizing it and wording or singing along to it, whatever, and just you getting it within you so that your intention can grow. And again, emphasize intimacy. Remember, folks, we're not. If this is not a static thing, these are living beings. This whole construct is alive. So respect, and there's an intimacy. You're inviting, and you're being invited at the same time. That's what it means to co-create. You kind of come together, take a step, take another step, unifiedly. That's, you know, because it's not about usurping anybody's will. It's about, that's what co-creation is. It's working together within a unity. Same intention, right?
Brandon,
Yes.
because I'm a little bit more, I mean, I do combine the audio and the visual. Is there a possibility that you can upload maybe the Maharic Shield and obviously the Ekasha more of instead of, well, it says, I guess me, in just one paper, and so I can print it out and maybe just have it visual.
Yeah, you can go, I'll go ahead and post a link to my website here. And this, so when you come back to, you can just click on and go there. You'll find PDFs there for the Maharic Seal as well as the Maharic Quick Seal. And I even did it shorter for what we're going to be doing here. So time we get down, everybody's going to be on the same page. But you can go, all that's there. So you can just take whatever you want, you know, from there. Can you download it from your computer? And the reason why I'm asking this is, yeah.
Well, I did download it to my phone. I don't have a desktop right now.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you you do have access to my email, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so email me and just say, you know, Maharic Seal or whatever, and then I can send it to you, because through the phone you have to jump through a lot of hoops in order to download it. It's easy on the computer, where at the phone it becomes complication. So I'll just send it to you when I get the email from you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, folks. Do you want to move on? You want to continue to do what we're doing here?
Sure. I would like to.
Okay. Because yeah, it's because before I start playing, before I start doing this on this end, I don't want to be doing it then not because I won't hear anything except for me, you know, and I want everybody to make sure everybody's there, and I don't think we're at that point yet. Okay, is what I'm saying. So, would you anybody like to go through the pause breath?
Yes.
Don't all raise your hands at once.
Yeah.
Just joking with you. Come on.
I have it here. So this is the creation, and that Manu, Ek, Ray, Kuki, Ma, Yana, Chaya, Ray, and
Re.
so now-
Yeah.
and so this is what each of them mean now. Manu is womb or still point. Ek is divinity or source. Rai is ecstatic field 1, tone 3. And Da is polaric field 2, tone 3. Hu is triadic field 3, tone 3. Ki is dimension 13, H25, frequency spectrum blue flame. Maya is D, Maya is D12, H4 equals the code divine blueprint. Yana is D9, tone HU3. Kaea is D6, tone U2. And then A is the 3 tone HU1, primal sound level, dimensional 12. 3-1 are the harmonic intervals of the 1/3 apart.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, we see the triunity that's taking place. Again, harmonic, right? Order and structure, like building a chord. Very harmonious. All right, pause breath and out breath intention. Now, there's different definitions to be given to these tones. I used the ones that were just the simplest to try to connect with, you know. You can add whatever you want to it. And that, again, has to do with your own personal study and what you familiar yourself with. Where your affections connect, I would encourage that's what you lean on. Again, emphasizing intimacy, you know, get to know, again, reacquaint yourself with the love that you've always been in relationship to these other energies that exist or consciousness within this construct, you know. Am I ringing or something? Sounds like I'm ringing. There we go. So anyhow, I don't know. I don't think we need to go any further with this because what I just mentioned. Let me see here. Is everybody familiar with what the Azure is? That's what I call it. Or you can think of it as the divine spark, your connecting point.
The higher heart.
When we look at the primal sound fields, we see polaric as being one of those levels, right, of individuation, right? Remember, we're there, okay? Part of ourselves. A soul is a subdivision of our energy, is what it is, okay? It equates to the math that exists within the construct, right? So you see within the third harmonic universe, okay, as being the metagalactic core, right? This is also known as the station of identity as being the oversoul. What is this? Anybody know what an oversoul is? What that actually means? Okay, right. It's your aspect of
super.
yourself that oversees subdivision of self. That's what it is.
Oh, cool.
Now, the polaric or the polaric gate, okay, is connected directly within the primal sound fields. This is the reason why the Azure, and you see the Azure within every structure, all structure. You look at the Cathara. If you look at the Cathara, like galactic Cathara as an example, right there in the center, like where our navel would be, okay, is where the Azure. But within this vessel, it's right here, thymus gland, okay? And people have been, some people have contacted me, which I will never ever say who they are, that said that they had their light body collapse because they were practicing certain things under the new thing that was taking place with a certain person who was involved as leadership with this Keylontic science movement. You may know who, you may know who the person you may know who the person is, but anyhow, they contacted me and they were really just extremely disturbed. Here's the truth. Their light body did not collapse. What happened is that there was blockage placed in where they couldn't receive what they were feeling before anymore.
Wow.
It's because, so I try to encourage them to contact me personally so that I could speak to them, but they couldn't seem to do it because they were just too overwhelmed. They were just trying to encourage me to continue to do what I'm doing because of the new teachings. This is what happened to them. Okay, which you don't need to follow the new teachings. Alana, she referred to this as being the simpler or easier stuff. You don't need much, really, and they start doing a whole bunch more that you don't need, and actually it went in a different direction. All that. I'm not trying to spook or fearmonger. I'm just saying things are a lot simpler than the way they've been played out. Okay, and let's just keep it simple. All right. So my point is that you cannot be disconnected. Okay, it just feels that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So that being said, we're going to be utilizing that connection because when we move into the Maharic seal, start doing that, it is going to continue to be actuating energy through feeling and vibration. And again, to emphasize the emotional content and connecting on an intimate level, so vital, so important. So the Azure is going to be one of the aspects of our connecting points or energy centers of consciousness that we're going to be utilizing. Okay, within the Maharic seal, I have a list of things that we're going to be focusing on, and within meditation, within the seeding of the Akasha symbol code. So the time we go through all this and get to that point, yeah, we'll know what we're doing. Won't be no thought involved, right? We know how to get there. We plan the trip. We know how to get there, and we have the route. Okay, let's go. It'll be that. So it's just the idea, again, to emphasize, is that we're harnessing energy. So the more that we can meditate on it and focus on it and be in the midst of it, don't put any time label on it. Or it's in the same way in regard to singing. The reason why I rewrote the music is because it needs to be contemplative. It doesn't need to speed up at the end. Some people like that. That's fine if you want to just sing along to it, but it's really not doing much, because you disengage. You kind of go on autopilot. Once you learn how to do something, you just kind of do it. We all do programming. It's fine. It can be fine, but the idea is you can't take it to the next level unless you're immersed within your intention with what you're doing. So when you do sing it, you know exactly what you're doing because you're instructing and you're commanding the ether through the codes. And you know exactly what you're doing. Your thought is very, very clear. Your intention is very, very clear. And that's really the emphasis here, is to bring in the current in order so that change can occur. You know, I expect that I'll be shifting in my timeline. What does that mean? That means, well, what is a timeline? Time, dimensions, consciousness bands, frequency, it's all the same thing. Just different names for what it is, really. So here's the example, and I used this example before. Prior to coming into this incarnation, you've seen all probable outcomes, millions of them. Those are your timelines. Those are within bands of consciousness. Okay, so when I shift to my highest intention and I stay there and I slowly progress to that, my past or the timeline that I was presently in changes. Things that I remember that happened didn't happen anymore. We have that capability because these are our timelines, these are our energies, these are our probabilities. And we can, again, to emphasize, how is everything held together?
Well,
what?
Intention, light, sound, and
intention
intention.
and will.
Your will. Yeah, the sentience will. There is no particles. We're holding it together through intention. I know it sounds weird on this side because it's so physical. You know why it feels so weird here? Let's simplify that. Well, you become the hologram. Hologram. But consciousness holds it all together. And what changes it or shifts it or allows it to move? You're not limited. Like I'm not limited. I can play all the notes. Once you're able to play the music, so to speak, you understand how it works, then you have access to it. Doesn't mean that you get from here to here that quick. It means it can be very slow. And considering we're in this molasses state, it's slow, and it should be slow, right? Because there's a processing that takes place as we're doing it. It enables us to be able to hold it once we get there. Mostly, what my experience has been is like, okay, if I'm here at 3.0 dimension consciousness bands, and if I move to 3.1, I can drop down to 3. Half that, and then come back up again, or even come up even higher. And then all of a sudden trauma happens, boom, I'm back down here again, you know, or even below that. This is what's taking place all the time. We're fluctuating constantly in this state. The idea is to understand how it works so that when we hold our intention, we know clearly where we're going and why we're doing what we're doing. It's like taking a trip, planning, right? You know the route and all this. You understand where you're going and why you're going there. It's all played out, you know. So once we understand how things really work, then we know how to address it and how to treat it. We know how to discipline ourselves. And it is a process, right? Certainly. So what would anybody recommend here in regard to listening to the track and all this other stuff and in preparation for what we're going to be doing the following Saturday? Now, we can do this twice a week in order to expedite things if people are able to, but I think more people are able to show up on Saturdays. Is that how it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of depends for me.
Okay. Now, here's the thing I'll offer and just say, if you need to be able to speak to me, I really need to be able to speak to me for some reason, whatever that may be, concerning any of this, you can contact me directly through my email and we can set up a time and do a face-to-face. It's very important that everybody can be on the same page, you know, and I know that a lot of people will be coming in. They may be new, and so things have to be addressed accordingly. So we'll probably end up having to split up the groups and stuff like that, but not any more than 2, because then there's no way I can hold that much space you know.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it works. We'll see how that works out. Ultimately, if I might say this, ultimately, individually, we're going to be able to do this individually and create collective groups in order for this to happen. Ultimately, we want it boots on the ground in our same neighborhood, under the same roof, as I had mentioned before. So it's essential for us to be able to eventually individually get to that place to where you're doing the work, you know, because we need to spread it out grassroots level, right? So, you know, I would ask, when you feel ready and you would like to speak to me privately about doing that, because I think that's something that should be held in confidence before one does anything about that. They feel like they're ready. I'm ready to do this. And I will do my best to whatever I can to help you in the process of doing that, because that's what this is really ultimately about, so that it does spread out, you know. And whatever you have to offer in communicating with me on any level, whatever it may be, I'm open to hear it. I want to hear it, you know. So just saying.
Thanks, Randy.
Is that okay?
Maybe you can give us some guidelines and homework for this week, so we are more prepared for next workshop.
It would be the same thing as
But
what has
the
been already.
rehearsal,
So I would look at the cosmic shorts again, just because this is looking at the PDF, right? And you see chronologically how we're going through this as a you know, a certain order. So look at it in that context of that. So when you're looking at the cosmic shorts, you're going to see the Ekashan, you're going to see the first creation, vibration, thought, intention. You just kind of correlate all this. And again, to emphasize the intimacy behind this, this is life. This is aspects of self that's in all this, okay? And this is what allows this construct to be experienced, is because we're creating it. So immersing yourself intimately in it, and don't get too caught up in the jargon or the technicalities of it so much, but feel it, you know, connect with it, allow yourself to connect with it, because ultimately when we're looking to do this in a unified way, it's not about, you know, knowing it on a technical level per se, right? That is just a catalyst to propel you into a place of confidence. So you don't have to think about it. You're there, present. Because again, to emphasize again, we're creating this. So this is a co-creative. This is not happening to us. We're creating it. We're co-creating it, right? So I would just, you know, encourage you just to continue to do that. When you're singing along with it, look at the manual or a PDF and just go through it as you're singing it and getting more and more intimately acquainted with it, right? Okay.
I would like to do it with you or in a group as a rehearsal, if that's the goal that
yeah, that is the goal. The intention was for it to be done this Saturday.
Yeah,
but as I started immediately, I knew that there was other things that were required before we can get to that place yet. But if you're ready to do it individually, I mean, you've been practicing it and you know you don't have any questions, okay? Then I would certainly be willing to do it with you one-on-one.
Maybe during the week we could.
So I have no problem with that. I just know that us, when we come together collectively, how empowering that can be. And when we do it in a unified way, that's really required. Everybody just needs to be on the same page, meaning having the same intention and conviction without doubting or questioning anything. They just know. We need just to move to a stage of knowing, and everybody's has that same conviction as we do it. So I don't have to look up and see if anybody's, hey, wait a second, or whatever, you know, that type of thing. We need to kind of do it interruptedly, you know, and as it's led, as the energy enables, specifically me, because I am leading it. So
Okay,
You know what I'm saying, right?
thank you. And another question I had during the conversation, Alana, yourself, and Brian were saying that you know that you are Indigo 3, that was level
Well, I'm a type 3, yeah.
type 3. How do you
How do I know that?
Yes.
Is because it's the life I lived and the conflict that I've had while I'm here, which is synonymous with the Indigo Type 3. It's a suicide mission. I hate to say that out loud, but that's what it is. It's highly respected. Okay, and trust me, nobody wants it. You don't want that.
Yeah, yeah.
But we have potential of becoming a Type 1, which means all the things that we were moving to another stage of ability and power. Because, you know, the thing about manifest reality is that there's a whole lot of things you have to learn to behave a certain way. There's a reason why it's so screwy, you know? And because you're manifesting, you're creating it. It's if you put somebody within an embodiment and a twisted sense of consciousness, they can manifest some crazy stuff. And we see a lot of that here within this world. You see a lot of things within, like, as an example, cryptozoology, which I was very interested in from an early age when I was 6. Actually, it wasn't called that back then. But I know how that happens because what we have is manifesting on a collective soul agreement in order for certain forms to exist, such as like what they're called a dogman. Some of these things are crazy. I mean, zombie wolves, zombies are not supposed to exist. How they exist, they're being held together by other consciousness and purposely for the reason of being able to harvest loosh.
Yeah.
It's crazy here. It's nutter butter. All right. It really is. So when you understand for the benefit of all life, you're looking to heal the twisted consciousness. That's what, you know, so it's like you have to be able to hold. I'll give you another example. Go back. I mentioned this earlier. Type 1. Okay. Type 1 will come into this reality field, and there's not a whole lot of them, trust me. They come into this reality field so they can infiltrate the fallen agenda programs. They become part of it in order to infiltrate it. You know how crazy that is? Just think about it for a moment. That's the only way that you can change it, is by becoming part of it like that. It's like, you know, undercover type of thing. It's very, you know, cloak and dagger, and it's very dangerous, extremely dangerous. Anytime you get on the radar here, I'll just say this, I'm not trying to be spooky. Anytime you get on the radar here, I mean, when you're a threat, if you're not a threat, they don't care less. A lot of people think that they're a threat and they're not, because I'll never get bothered. Oh, yeah, you're not a threat, you know, because they don't mess around with silly things. They've been at this for a very long time. You know, they have a whole lot of momentum, right? A lot of these beings have regenerated through technology to stay within manifest reality. They've been here for a very, very, very long time. They utilize the energy from other beings, yada, yada, yada. Everybody knows that. Okay. Long story short is that they have a very, very strong momentum. And they're no clown. They're nothing to mess with. They're very, very bright. Very, very capable. So to go at any time that you get on the radar, like as an example, for those who can hold a body here and hold a body on Tara, as an example, if you are discovered, they're going to kill you. It's not even a matter of anything other than killing you. So do you realize how cloak and dagger you have to be here? But you have to present yourself as being a normal human at the same time while you're doing all this other stuff. You're basically walking around with superhuman powers here because you're holding all this energy that virtually nobody else is. You know, that is, you know, soul contract, right? So the task, don't wish for it. Don't ever wish to be something other than where you're at. Just be content with where you're at and just look to become more of you. And as you learn what you learned and you start to incorporate more of your energy and you start to know who and what you really are, you realize this responsibility, it grows. This is too much information. I know that right now as soon as I started talking, but I had to finish. I'll leave it at that. But how do I know? You'll know when you know. Always use that expression. You know when you know. You know, telling
And
somebody
so,
else how to
Randy,
know
that's-
something just doesn't really work that well.
We have two hands.
Thank you. I just want to say in reference to all of what Randy's just shared, that if anybody's nervous about any of it, for me, the bottom line is these sound toning trainings that he's offering are the way through all of it for the greatest potential that any of us could hold. This really is very significant, and just letting me know. That's how I look at it.
It's exactly it. It's, you know, it's like it has in regard to like experiences. There's a lot of people, and no offense to anybody, I'm just using this as an example, okay? I don't mean any offense. Oh, but a lot of people have built their careers off of their experiences, telling stories, right? How does that really benefit anybody? It doesn't. Not really. It just entertains them. Pretty much is what it does. Either you know or you don't. And the whole thing, I'd learned this, it's taken a while for me to really kind of grasp that, you know, but over many years. But it's true. It's not telling stories or the experience unless it has something that you could follow that's going to allow you to reintegrate more of your true self so that you know for yourself, because nobody can tell you that. And even if they did, they don't need to be telling you that. The reason why I don't go down any of these avenues is because no, thank you. That's not my responsibility. I can't be accountable for that. I'm already holding like 50 to 500 other beings right now. I don't need anything more than what I already got going on. Okay? Seriously.
Let's call it the orchestra, Randy. Everybody has their own orchestra.
Yeah,
in the,
they do.
In the making, right?
Yeah, they have. Well, it's, you know, it's individuated free will. So, you know, if anybody tells you what to do, they're infringing upon that. You know, even if it's good intention. So I just through wisdom over the years, I learned not to do that. And if I do that, or if I say something in a way that's construed in that way, I'll be quick to correct it or to say that's not what I meant. So anything I say here, if it doesn't connect with you, forget about it. Okay, so there's that, right? But my purpose is to encourage you to be the very thing that you are, truly, your true nature, and give you the tools and to help direct that is the best that I know how, based on what I've been led to do. And then I let go. It's important to let go. Important to let go of everything here. You know, hold on loosely, you know. And that way you gain more of your true self, which makes you much more effective while you're here. Allows you to progress, allows you to move to those higher timelines. Yeah.
Okay.
Hold more energy, because it's really about changing consciousness here. And we mentioned, I think it was in third workshop, you're not infringing upon free will when you're giving beings back what they originally were.
Okay.
When they don't have a choice. You know, thinking you have free will and not having it is two different things, isn't it? If you can't remember who you were, you know, you're not really having a choice, and you need to be able to remember that. So if you do make a choice to say yes or no, it's clear. It's really a free will choice. It's not a fabricated one, right? So in that case, you're not infringing upon anybody's free will there. And that's really what I'm looking to do here in regard to the world, is transformation to take place to source like oh, wait a second, I'm this. Wait a second. So that you start having these clear, because transmutation is taking place. So this overflow of energy is for transmutation, right? Someone goes walking down on a sidewalk and they all of a sudden they get this, the energy comes and just, and it changes their entire field and it transmutes them from the lack of awareness that they had to now a clarity of awareness of who they and what they are, which allows for change to occur here, right? And that's what it's really all about. So it's us collectively working together in unity to facilitate that. And I have no doubt.
That will be amazing.
Well,
That will
it
be
is.
amazing.
It is amazing in the sense, don't think of it as something of its future tense. Think of it as always being now, because what's going on now is only now and it's always now. So I know it's not just semantics, because the energy is directing and commanding the codes as we speak. Anytime, it took a while for me to learn not to speak in the future tense, even though sometimes it sounds like that's what I'm doing, but I'm not. I'm speaking presently because it's always happening now. It's never happening in the future. Just always now. Someone take off or somebody, did I miss something?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm cooked. My noodle is baked. I need to head out here, Randy, and get my dog walking. And I see the folks in Portugal just sent love and signed off as well. So if you don't mind, I'm going to wrap my end of this up and give such sincere thanks to all of you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
Hey,
very much.
guys.
Really cool.
So
Love
much
you.
love, blessings,
you.
and love to all of you. Good luck, and we'll see you soon.
Stay safe.
Lots of
Thank
love,
you.
Thank
guys.
you,
Thank you so
guys.
much. It was nice
Very
catching
much.
up, meeting new people. See you next time.
Okay.
See you
So I
soon.
guess
Bye.
everybody kind of good. We're going to go ahead and just kind of close up for the session as it would be.
Yeah.
It's getting pretty late for some of us
Sounds good,
folks,
sounds
especially
good.
ones across the pond.
For David and us, right? UK time.
Right, well, I'm
All
out
right,
also
thank
then.
you.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. Nice to meet
Peace.
everyone and see everyone again. Thank you, RK.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you, David. I'm
Stay
gonna
safe, everybody.
do more this time. I'm gonna do more. We'll see.
Let's practice more telepathy, yeah? Send the stronger messages.
That's
Loud,
it. That's it.
loud. Ciao.
Okay,
Thanks.
folks.
Much
Bye.
love.
Thank you so much for showing up. It's all about showing up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I greatly
Randy,
appreciate
if
it.
you like, just join, just please put me into the group as well, because it's right now I was with Olia, but that would be nice to see you guys next Saturday if you help me.
Yes, again, emphasize anybody who wants to contact me directly. Like I said, if you go to my website or any video on YouTube has all the links for everything. So you go on the website, my address is on my website, everything. I'm available, put it that way. Okay, so you just have to contact me and then let me know what it's about that you're contacting me about, because a lot of people contact me and I don't know what they're contacting me about and I don't know what to do. So
Good, thank you, blessings.
thank you.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for being here.
Nice
you,
to meet
Olia.
you, Evelyn and Alana.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Signing off. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
All right.
Until next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, David.